bowels of One Half Radio Plaza at Life Media Studios.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to Real Country Radio.
Congratulations, Detroit. You can be thoroughly ashamed of yourself. The homicide toll has reached a nice even 750. Details on the latest leveling from Police Sergeant.
Coming up now, we're going to start off the set with...
In the morning.
Bucket-Bloods Tigers could use this guy's talent.
Have you had time to get ready?
I don't waste any time getting ready. I stay ready.
And ready we are for this man, Brian Lohnes.
Hey.
And look at you with the IH hat, bringing that in strong.
Got to come in hot with the red power, man. What am I doing here, right? You got to come in and make a statement.
I love it.
So does that mean that we're going to have it out before the end of the night, or what?
Well,
I'm trying to set the tone.
I'm on his side to start, so we're ready, Rip.
I'm trying to set the tone.
That works. That works. Brian, it's good to finally talk to you in person, so to speak.
You bet. No, it's great to be here. I'm in my this is like the studio I do a bunch of recording in, so I'm isolated from the rest of the world, so I could scream and yell about whatever you guys want me to at this point.
That's fine.
Dude, is that Dorcomotive Central right there?
This is kind of it. Yeah, this is it. This is where the room, no one can hear me screaming here, so it's good.
Fantastic. Everyone's got to have a room like that. Mine in
Right.
my car.
So I didn't want to do this traditional interview style, because we've done that with you before. Like, the story I think about you has been really well told, and that's awesome. And what I really wanted to do is access your brain. I want to get into right from the hop, perspectives on the sport. The way that things have gone into 2023, I feel like there is a lot of momentum behind auto racing, and you're certainly seeing that with sellouts and stuff like that. But I really wanted to see what, from your perspective and the height that you see things from. What are you seeing? I guess I would start on the fan perspective side. What's out there? Is the momentum genuine? Is it post COVID? Like, we're ready for this. We want something. What are you seeing?
Yeah, no, I think it's a couple of those things. I think it's I think when I look at a lot of stuff, I look at, obviously, drag racing to me is important because it's how I make my living. So I want people to show up to those races, most importantly, right? I want to look out the window and see crowds there, which we are. We're seeing great crowds. St. Louis was a blowout last weekend. Dallas is looking really good coming up. And we've had some misses. Like, we need to get better in Seattle. There are cities where we go to where it's like, how are we so good here and how are we not good there? And I don't think that's an isolated thing to drag racing. I think that's really something we can look at in almost any motorsport. I think we can look at even NASCAR, which is like the 800-pound gorilla in the room. We can look at them and say they go to Darlington and blow the place out. They go to Bristol, and why is Bristol not what it was anymore? So I think we can all ask ourselves these questions, and whether it's there are almost anchor motorsports events that are like bellwethers outside of the norm stuff, where it's like Gravel-Rama, right? Gravel-Rama's been going on for so long. That's, what is it, 50-something years, right? Like, yes. That's one of those events where, to me, it's like, if those guys are still selling that thing out and killing it there, it's like, that's a good sign. I think there are certain things that have been so entrenched and have been going on for so long that we can use them as a different marker than an event that maybe gets hit, in a city that's fair weather. And that goes across all motorsports. But yeah, I think we're in a good spot. I really, it's tough to stand and be like, oh, well, we're at risk, which there are parts of all this that are at risk. But I think in the whole scheme of things, I don't think we're in a bad place right now. And that goes across the board.
Your touchstone being Gravel-Rama just elevated you another level in my mind.
Dude, Cleveland, Ohio. If there was a kid in the 80s, if there was a child in the 80s that liked monster trucks and didn't revel in the video of Bigfoot finally getting over the top of the eliminator, like, get out of here. Like that was, I don't care who you are. If you, even if you were just the kid that walked by the TV when that happened, that was one of the greatest things of all time. I mean, it really was awesome.
It's a moonshot to get up that thing. And they did it on 66-inch tires.
And I think the story was like they used to make him do it at night and after everybody else had tried, so the thing was hollowed out. But it was just like, I just remember seeing that as a kid on one of those videos and just being like, this is the coolest stuff of all time. I thought it was great. But yeah, but that event, I remember reading about it, like since I was old enough to read. First magazine I ever got as a kid was Four Wheel and Off Road. That was the first subscription I ever had. And so like they would cover that event like it was the US Nationals, because at the time it kind of was for dirt truck events. And so I've always kind of had a thing about Gravel-Rama. And to me, it's like you look at that culture and you look at that event, and as long as that thing is blown out, it's like, okay, that's healthy.
What are you seeing is the thing that reaches out to the fandom out there? And, you know, social media is a big deal, whatever. But like, what's the thing that, and I don't mean by process necessarily. I mean by content. What's the thing that is connecting? And is it the drivers? Is it us at the level that we're at? Is it the sanctioning bodies? Where's the touchstone coming from that really connects?
The one thing that connects, like the nexus of all of it, right? Whether it's the guys presenting the event, whether it's the people participating in the event, whether it's the people watching the event, the top of the triangle is honesty. Okay. And it's the most uncomfortable part of the event, which is like the weird thing where, so when you have drivers or competitors that are honest about how much they want to win, what they want to say, how much this means to them, what they feel about the person they're competing against. And then you bring it to the next level and you have the people presenting the event that are honest about, listen, either these two people love each other or they don't. It's not my job to tell you how much they hate each other, but I don't have to tell you that they're best friends. And then presenting the event in a way that's like, this person has been struggling for X, Y, and Z reasons. Here's the numbers. Here's the hard data that tells me that. And then the fan gets to take their own kind of part of that. But any other sport, like whether it's baseball, football, hockey, whatever it is, like the honesty of the competition, the honesty of the competitors, and the honesty of the way it's presented is why people love it so much. And so in motorsports, my opinion is we often run into a problem where we have a very kind of closed society, and it is, right? Whether it doesn't matter what motorsport you're in, it's a really kind of locked off society where people are so into each other's feelings, or they're so interconnected where it's like, well, I can't say that about that guy, or you can't say that about that guy. Well, it's like, the hell I can't. I mean, if we're calling this professional motorsports, I don't care if it's professional tractor pulling, professional mud bogging, professional drag racing, professional IndyCar racing. If you qualify it with the first word professional, then this is what we got to be, right? If you're going to be a professional podcaster, you have to be able to stand there when someone says, well, this sucks, and this is why I think it sucks. You don't have to agree with them, but you have to subject yourself to it because you're calling yourself a professional. I think to me, that's what it is.
Boy, have you been listening to our shows? Like, I just feel like you've heard everything I've ever said.
But it's the hard part. It's the hard part. And it's the hard part where, you know, I say this about drag racing all the time, where it's like, okay, guys want to say, we want to be big time. Okay. How big time you want to be? Because we can all be comfortable with the level we're at. We can all be here and be comfortable. But if you want to be big time, like real big time, your whole life's going to change. Yes. And maybe not. And I'm not saying I don't want it. I want that. I want all of it. Like I want the whole poop show. I want it all. Right. But you got to take it where it goes. You know, in any sort of racing series, motorsport, whatever, people get away with stuff. People do stuff. People kind of like whatever. But if you're going to be big time, then the spotlight's on you, and that changes the whole thing.
Sure does. Yeah, you've got to be willing to accept that target on your back, so to speak,
Yeah.
and have the broad enough shoulders to accept what's going to come at you. And well, you know, the relaunch of this show, I got beat up on quite a bit, so it's all right.
But listen, and it's the whole thing's a growing process, and that's one of the things I say to people all the time, and you get it, I'm sure, and I get it, but it's like friction. You know, friction is growth, and you know, friction meaning that well, nobody's ever talked about it this way before. Nobody's ever said this about this before, and it makes people uncomfortable, and that's fine. But if you are rooting yourself in fact and rooting yourself in data or rooting yourself in anything but your own personal opinion that cannot be verified by anything but what you think, it's okay. And you know, that's we talk about a lot of stuff, and I think in motorsports, as long as you are backed up by some factual information by saying, hey, listen, this driver kind of sucks in these situations, and the numbers say they kind of suck in these situations. Like, you can be mad at me for saying it, but you can't be mad at me for making it up. And that's a part of me. That's one of the things I take to the bank.
Yeah, if
you can point at the scoreboard and say, scoreboard.
Yeah, that's it.
Kind of game. That's game, set, match.
Yeah, absolute fact. Absolute fact.
And that's come up during the course of the season, you know, for NHRA and with certain individuals. I won't go there. I won't put you on the spot.
Right.
But it's happened.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things, like, you know, Tony is one of my best friends. I talk to Tony constantly. We text each other like we're 12-year-old girls, like we're really good friends. One of the things I love about Tony is that his honesty is right down to the granite. I mean, it may not be something you want to hear, but unfortunately, it's not something you can refute, and it makes a lot of people mad. But I admire his approach in that it's honest as hell. Whether you want to hear what he has to say or not, it's honest. And there's a lot of people that hate him for it because traditionally the fan base in our sport and drag racing, it's always been like, oh man, well, good run by that guy, bad run by that guy. But that doesn't make it a sport, right?
No.
Like, if something becomes arbitrary, like, well, that person did a better job than that guy for reasons known only to the universe, not a sport. That's flipping coins into a fountain, right? That's nothing.
And that's the good thing that's what Tony will bring into that, is that he's been there as a driver and been through those sort of scenarios. But even beyond that, his predecessor, Mike Dunn, would do the same thing. He'd been there in the seat and was like, you know, this is frankly bullshit, and I'm going to call it as such.
Yeah, no, Mike was right there. Steve Evans was right there. You go back to the 90s and Evans like calling out the pro stock guys for diving for each other. Like, it was all right there. It was all honest, and it was all like, to me, that's the way any sport needs to be upheld. And it's like, you know, you guys are pulling guys, but like when I was growing up, watching the stuff on TNN on Sundays, like, why did the Banner brothers freaking kill everybody? Because they were better at it. Like, they were better at it. It wasn't a guess. It wasn't magic. It wasn't like a voodoo doll. They were freaking better than everybody else. And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. You bring up that with, I know that comes from a genuine place. You pay attention to a lot of other stuff when it comes to motorsports. It's not just drag racing all the time. I mean, that's how you're known, and that's where you come from, but you really are, you got your finger on the pulse of a lot of stuff. And that comes through the bankshift.com and the website. And we're going to get to something else in a minute that I told you I want to highlight on, but like you have the bandwidth for a lot of things.
Yeah, we don't know how you do it either, by the way. We have no idea how the hell you do it.
Well, I think, you know, listen, I'm not going to give away the secret sauce here, but to a degree, my job is to be plugged into as much stuff as I can be. But it's like, I just really like it. I like the idea, and as you guys know, there's a lot of crossover in a lot of this stuff. Like there are people that have a hand in this or have a hand in that. Like I know guys that are involved in, like, the amount of guys that have worked for NHRA teams that work for IndyCar teams, or that work for IndyCar teams and now work for NHRA. Like, it's insane. Like, you would not think the two things would ever go together, but everybody is based in Indianapolis,
I was gonna say,
and
yeah,
they're
their
all
shops
really
are all within 10 miles of each other.
yeah, and they're all really good mechanics. So, like, you can train an IndyCar guy to work on a dragster. You can train a dragster guy to work on an IndyCar. So I feel like I have kind of a leg up on following some of that stuff, and even the sports car stuff to a degree, because so many of the IndyCar teams also have a sports car team. So a lot of the drag racing guys have kind of flopped over there. But to me, I work with Todd Venny. Ken Venny's his dad. So I get to hear about, Ken Venny's insanely awesome, immortal triumphs that just don't stop. I mean, it's friggin' bonkers. So to me, it's like when I hear about that, then I go and look at the results to see how everybody else did. So a lot of it is almost by default, but I do try to, I try to just keep my ear down to the railroad tracks, because I love a lot of this stuff. I grew up loving it, as you guys did, and I think it's just fun to see what's going on. And I don't understand people that just pigeonhole themselves to this. Oh, well, I like this, and I'll never do this. I mean, Charlie, you were just at Wagley's. Guys running sub fours in the eighth in a freaking cornfield.
You freaking know,
Dude, that was unbelievable.
We set the diesel world record, 387.7 at 191 miles an hour, and one of the other guys in his class has run 4.0s at 195. So, like, we're hearing that come 2024, there's like potential for 5 more dragsters to come out, and everybody's going to be swinging for the fences. Like, this is going to get stupid, and it's going to be really fun to watch.
So what has, and now I'm going to flip the tables on you, but what has caused that? Like, why is that moment happened where now there's 5, 6 other people coming out with cars? And I want to know why, because I think it's great.
I think for the longest time we had Jared Jones in the Scheid car, who was the thing in diesel dragster, and they were kind of the standard bearer, and they felt like the Colossus, right? They were the guys who were right at the forefront of the things, and no one could touch them. And finally, some guys decided, you know what, I want to go for this. Yeah. And I think we can do something. And to make a distinction, the Scheid car is mechanical, because that's what Scheid wants. That's how they came up with stuff. It's a P pump. Well, P pump. It's
right.
Pump car.
Yeah. Right.
And they're spraying with nitrous now, and it it boogies. It gets down. And Jared has always said we wanted somebody who would come after us and challenge us. And guys are finding out that, hey, now I can go build this lawn dart where I don't have to figure out a 4-link. Yeah. I don't have to chase chassis setup. I mean, they do, but it is a bit simpler. And and on top of that, I don't have to be a clutch car like they are.
Yep.
I can put in a turbo 400 and a torque converter, and suddenly, like, there's an opportunity there to go really quick. And guys did it this year, and we saw multiple cars come out, and the opportunity was there. Everybody was down in 4.0s, being essentially rookies. And so now the appetite has been whetted. There's these chassis that have been sitting in shops for a couple of years, like, okay, now I can do this too, and they're ready to do it, and I'm down for it.
So did most of these guys, or all of them, come out of 4-wheel drive trucks, or what did they come out of to do this?
Yes, yes, they did. Okay. The Shy guys came out of that. Yep. Cordova, who set the record, did. Maddie Graves, who was the previous going in this weekend.
Yeah, Maddie.
Her father has been around it for a long, long time. Yes. And had a shop and did it. The next guy's coming. Josh Scruggs was a one-time pro street record holder. Now he's going dragster. Nice. Mark Broviak, who has a chassis, he is the current world record holder in a pro mod with an Allison transmission. The Wagler bunch has a couple cars coming, and you know what Jeremy's done. Oh, yeah. These are all guys, these are all guys who've done it and been around it. We don't yet have the guy who's coming out of left field like, oh, this guy wants to play. We're waiting for that.
So the next question is, like, where is the main geography for most of these guys? Like, where are they mostly coming out of?
East of the
Is
Mississippi.
there
East of
a
Mississippi is where we're
concentration
seeing
like
most of these with the series. It's the Outlaw Diesel Super Series. Our races are concentrated east of that. There is the National Hot Rod Diesel Association has been revived west of the Mississippi, and they travel big time. I mean, they go from Washington to Texas, so like it's tough for travel for them. But there's fast stuff out there too, and the ultimate goal is to get them built back up to where they used to be, to where we can have like a fall East versus West brawl in Texas. At some
like
point.
which NHRA event do we need to get 4 of these guys at to just throw down? That's the big question.
I think a great one would be Ennis with the week of Nitro or the whatever they call it. Like bring that to Texas.
Yeah, but no, I'm talking about like a normal of like and listen, Stampede of Speed is awesome.
Yeah,
but like, is it Indy? Is it St. Louis? Is it like to get them where if we can showcase them? Like we do a lot of showcases with the streetcar guys. We do that, but like if we get 4 of those guys in to qualify and then run a 2-rounder on Sunday, like what is the best geography for that? Because I think that's something we got to do. Like to me, that is a emerging thing we got to get on.
Yeah,
Can I be selfish? I'm going to be selfish, Brian. Sorry for the black box. I'm currently driving.
That's the black box talking.
Yeah, but I'm going to be selfish and say St. Louis because I almost came and visited you this weekend and made a longer road trip out going on. But that's my vote, St. Louis.
Yeah, I'd have no problem with that, and I think most of the guys who are in this at that level would say St. Louis is doable. Yeah.
So that's something we got to figure out, and we don't need to. Obviously, we want to be off a weekend that they're actually going to race somewhere. So that, but we've been trying to do this for years, where we bring in a lot of different stuff, like whether it's X275, we brought in some of the big tire no prep guys. We've run the drag week guys, but like having 4 good diesel dragsters in would be effing awesome. That would be killer.
Right. And something I guess I want to stand on my soapbox about this one, and this is something actually I want you to comment on too, is the perception of diesel as a motorsport. Everybody wants to think about, the smoke flying and, oh my gosh, we're choking to death and they're killing the ozone layer and blah, blah, blah. And what they don't realize is, especially on the diesel side, we're doing double power adder. We're doing turbo and we're doing nitrous.
Yeah.
And the fastest guys are pushing in their air fuel ratio way deep to like 30-1 air to fuel ratio. And the fuel quantity that's going through these cars to make 3,000 horsepower and trap door at 195 miles an hour, it's minuscule versus what a methanol car is going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so there is efficiency there. Like, don't hate us because you can see the emissions.
Yeah.
Hate us because we're faster than you with less fuel.
Right. No, I think there's a few things at play there. The first one is we live in a society of people that are just not intelligent, for starters. Like, oh, there's a thing I can see, so that's the problem. Birds are fake, the whole thing. But I think listen, the diesel side of things has 27 hurdles to overcome that other people don't. You have the Volkswagen thing, which any person that, licks the grass every morning and grabs their oak on the way to work, they think, oh, Dieselgate, thank God we stopped that from happening, saving our planet. No, like the full combination of every single one of those cars is more efficient than half the stuff that was going out the gate at anybody else's place, right? So you can go to the base on that, but yeah, I think as far as diesel on the side of motorsports, I honestly think that the entirety of the rest of motorsports, listen, look what was it, Audi? And I think it was Audi that went out there and won Le Mans like 9 years in a row with a diesel engine, right? They went there and just crushed them. So there's that. We have seen Scheid come out. Obviously, John Robertson from Texas, seen him several times, like running top dragster and stuff. I don't think anybody.
He's another one.
What's that?
He's another one. Very similar car to Scheid's car. Yep.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anybody that's established in racing that looks at a diesel anything and says, "Oh, that's garbage" or "That's junk." But yeah, I think there is a perception of, well, there's smoke, so this is just killing my next generation of children. Which I don't know how you get around that, other than education. But it's a lame thing to look at, to your point, where it's like consumption wise, these things are burning nothing. They're burning nothing.
Yeah. Yep. It's what we are learning it's fun to watch and be on the inside of and watch that straight up learning curve that's going on right now with us, is that we now have have standalone engine management, which is something the Sparkplug guys have been playing with for 20 years.
Yeah.
And we're all of a sudden going, oh my, we can control all this stuff. Holy crap. And it's just like it's just you watch lap to lap with somebody where they sit there and they flip the laptop open and they're looking at data log and going, that did that. Oh wow.
Yeah.
And it's just the build upon build. But in our world, there's like 4 guys doing what in a Sparkplug world 15 years ago 300 guys were doing. And we're trying to sort that out and understand things on a level that just hasn't been probed before.
Yeah, but the curve is the same though. So like to me, and I don't know any good gasoline guys that have gone over to tune diesel stuff, but I suspect at some point you'll see you'll see a couple of, in my opinion anyway, and I don't know any of this happening for fact, and it may not be happening for fact, but it would shock me if a couple of really good gasoline tuners, Shane Tecklenburg level guys, didn't get a phone call from a diesel guy and say, hey, listen, maybe get a look at this. And at the end of the day, you're dealing with the same factors. You're dealing with traction, like wheel speed. Really, you're dealing with the basic kind of functions, and it's how you deliver that to the rear axle to get your car to the finish line is what's going to make the difference. And so, I know, again, I'm not comparing, because I know there's guys that are listening to this going, oh, some gasoline guy is not going to show up here and teach us something we don't know. And you're probably right. But what the gasoline guy can teach you is some of the data points that you've never looked at before, right? So you can teach him how your motor works, and he can look how the rest of it works and say, here's what we need to do to make the whole package work. The most interesting part to me of the diesel side of things, especially the performance we saw last weekend, is the best part of drag racing is when we get classes and categories when we don't know where the bottom is. And we have no clue where the bottom of this is yet. Right? So if we got dragsters that are cracking the 390s, great. We got a long way to go from there. And that's what makes this exciting, right? When on the other side of things, like when we get guys, we're waiting to see 340 out of a top fuel car, where if the weather lines up in Texas next weekend, we're going to see it. I'm not saying we're going to see 340 out of a diesel dragster at any point soon, but we're going to see way more than 390 out of them, way more than 380 out of them. And it's harnessing that power that's going to be the fun thing to watch.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of back and forth going on. The Fire Punk guys, who had been the first guys to do a 3 in 8th mile diesel, they went to Reese Brothers and said, we need help. Like we're out of our element at this point. They came out with that 70 Duster, and the Reese Brothers talked them into, like, let's do a Liberty 5-speed with a tie drive in this car.
Yeah.
they did it. And this weekend, they became the first tie drive customer, I think, to figure out how to take a turbo car and bump it into staging. And it works sweet. And they had a 0.9 60 foot, which is awesome. They also figured out a way to break it, which no one has ever done before.
That was impressive. That was really impressive.
And listen, I know the Miller boys kind of strike people different ways in the diesel world, but I've had nothing but positive dealings with Levon, his brother, and all those guys. I've known them since the very beginnings of the Diesel Power Challenge back in the day when I was out there with them, and those guys showed up and just literally showed everybody the way home multiple times. Yeah. I mean, it was like when Levon and his brother showed up and those guys came out the first time, and then I think they won it 3 times straight till they told them not to come back. It was like that was men playing with boys. And so that's, to me, the way they approach a lot of this stuff, the way they've grown their business. And yeah, you go to and to me, it's like this, it's a great union. The Reese brothers are those guys are genius level. Like what they've done on radial cars and what they've done on even big tire pro mod cars, they're kind of innovations on that side of things. For them to be involved in this type of stuff is just fantastic.
I told Lynn Friday night when he said, we're out, this is what we broke. And he showed me pictures and I said, you know, all right, that sucks. But a year from now, when we're back here again and you're running 80s on the regular, you're gonna laugh about this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the old saying is that, you know, the pioneer is the guy that got arrows shot in their ass. That's how if you're going to be a pioneer, you're going to end up with an ass full of arrows, but it's your ass, so it'll be punctured, but it's not. Those aren't fatal wounds. You know, you figure it out and you move ahead. Yeah.
I've been monopolizing this, Ryan. I want you to get in here on this.
I think we ought to go to the comments. And first,
never go to the never go.
No. This is good because Jeremy Wagler single-handedly takes responsibility for the reason that there's not more diesel dragsters.
Yes,
because he needs to get off his ass and get some things done.
Yeah, you need to get that screw coupe sold and get the screw blower back in the dragster and get J-Lee's done. So you have two.
Yeah, because there's all of the time for that. Jeremy,
that engine, the engine bar beyond the car it was in, the engine itself is a masterpiece of mechanical engineering. I mean, the thing is just beautiful.
Did you ever get to hear it run when he was driving it out of SEMA?
Yes, I actually heard that.
The only thing louder is a nitro engine.
That's amazing.
It's still echoing off of Havana Trump's building out there. So
pretty much
LaFontaine Blue. LaFontaine Blue is still echoing off that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's loud and it's nasty. I had the I'll say stupidity to stand trackside when Andre Dusek launched it at his home track, and yeah, I will say that a screw blown diesel, the only thing louder is a nitro engine.
Yeah,
alcohol
all the noise
cannot hold a candle to that. Can't.
Yeah, centrifugal blowers make some noise, but a screw blower is a legitimate amplifier of awesomeness. Yeah, that's a fact. Yes.
And on top of that, during daylight, it shoots header flames. So that's really cool too.
Double win.
Yeah. So Brian, I got a couple of easy ones for you. When's the last time you've been to a tractor pull? Your schedule is so damn busy.
It was
did you ever get to go?
Yeah, I think it was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I want to say we were in. It wasn't Denver. We were out west somewhere, and I was able to, when I got in, we got finished on a Friday afternoon. I blasted out with a couple guys to a Friday night. I got to remember what race we were at, but it was a Friday afternoon out west somewhere. Might have been Arizona side. I don't know if it was Phoenix, but it was definitely one of the Western races that I grabbed a couple of the guys from the crew. We got done at like 5, and those guys got going at like 7. We got out there, but it was a couple of years. And it was just it was a local poll. It wasn't anything big, but it was just kind of cool to take some guys out there that had never seen it.
How'd they react?
They loved it. I mean, that's the thing. You put this in front of anybody and they enjoy it, because all of a sudden it's like I told them we were going in the thing, like it's Samson trying to pull the temple down on top of himself. Like that's what it is. It's like this. It's this chained up, crazy ass thing that's just trying to get away. And that to me is the best part of it. It's like, the drag cars, they get to escape. These guys, this thing doesn't get to get away. Like it's hooked to the sled, so it's going nowhere. But it's freaking awesome.
Appreciate that. That's exactly how it feels, even in the seat.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. That to me, that's, I took Freiberg at his first pull, and the first thing he ever said was, "This is the most brutal dyno pull I've ever seen in my life." Yes. That's the way he described it. This is the most brutal dyno pull I've ever seen in my life, and that's exactly what it is.
300-foot dyno.
Yeah.
And it's 300-foot dyno anymore if you suck. It's like 330-foot dyno if you're good.
Right. Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
Good at it. Yeah.
If you're playing for keeps. So you've talked a lot about V8 powered classes. Who are your favorites growing up? Ken Venny always won? I mean, once he got into it, and I mean, obviously you have the Venny connection now.
Yeah, well, that guy. So I knew who he was as a kid. I never really understood who he was until I became an adult and worked with his dad, worked with his son, and really kind of got the whole picture. And then, I knew he was a great alcohol racer and all that other stuff. But like, obviously the O'Bannon guys back in the day were pretty awesome to watch. I mean, I just remember literally the guys I would watch on TNN every Sunday. Those are the guys that I knew and pulled for. And, believe it or not, in Massachusetts, wasn't necessarily pulling central up here.
Oh, really?
So I lived a lot through, my TV on that stuff. We had a local garage that was like not even a mile from my house. These guys were the Banter brothers, and they had a 4-wheel drive pickup truck that they pulled that I thought was really awesome. They were like the only kind of race team in my town, but they would have the thing in their shop. And I would kind of ride my bike up there on the weekends. There was a pizza place right by them, and they were cool. Like, they would let me and my buddy Ryan go in and hang out in their shop. And this thing had a big block Chevy in it with aluminum heads on it. I mean, it probably maybe a Rodeck motor. It wasn't like any sort of crazy over the top thing, but like being able to hang out in their garage and just kind of watch them work on the truck and grab them a wrench when they told us to, like, that was one of the things I think that endeared me to pulling. But it was just some local, 4-wheel drive truck team, but they were just normal dudes. It was cool.
You guys were working on something with your son. You were working on a Funk V8 conversion on an 8N Ford.
Yeah, so the tractor's still got the 4-banger in it. I got a 1943 Dearborn snowplow in the front of it that I found in New Jersey last year. And the flathead block is at the machine shop right now. So the Funk conversion will happen. The block is actually being machined right now. It's taken me way longer than I had planned to do it. But yeah, so that thing will have a V8 in the front of it. And I have the Awesome Henry. I'm using the Awesome Henry conversion kit to do it. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Nice.
It's one of like, I think 5 different versions I've seen. And then, the Funk V8 is probably the most common. There's the Funk Straight 6. I've seen a small block Chevy in one. The weirdest, I saw one that was swapped with a Honda Goldwing flat 6.
I've seen that one.
I'm sure that makes more power than the damn flathead.
For sure.
Right. Honestly,
but no, this thing, it's just going to be, it's an APA. It's going to be a bone stock APA flathead going in it. But I saw it in a book one time. I got a kid. The book's still in my library upstairs, but it's this American Farm Tractor book. And I remember flipping through the thing when I was a kid, and there was an 8N with a damn V8 in it. And I thought it just looked so cool. And mine has a Hupp over underdrive on it. So
nice.
Oh yeah, so the Hupp. So you have the Sherman. Like, a lot of guys have the Sherman overdrive, but the Hupp is like super rare. So it's an under and overdrive. So with the overdrive, they claimed the thing would go like 32 miles an hour. So when I first got the tractor, I stuffed the thing in overdrive, and I have a guy follow me down my street yelling, 27, 29. And I bailed at like 29 miles an hour because it was like I thought I was going to die. Like, the front end is like this. The whole thing was wrong, but it went almost 30 miles an hour, which is plenty enough for me. So, but the Hupp overdrive is functional.
Well, stab the 3/4 cam in and let's have some fun.
There we go.
Right. Yeah, the phase 3 race cam is coming in hot. Yeah.
I think the wildest 8N swap that I've ever seen was I saw one sell at an auction last year. It had a Lincoln Zephyr V12 in it.
Oh, get out of here. That's actually awesome.
It was the coolest damn thing. Yeah. It went down to where did it go? Arkansas.
Wow.
There's a collector down there. He just kind of got some odd tastes, and he got a hold of that one. I actually wrote a blog post about it and kind of lined out a few of the other conversions out there. The other oddball one that you probably saw in person was a twin turbo 7.3 Power Stroke.
I saw that at SEMA.
Forgot all about that Firewires car or tractor.
Yeah, the Firewire. Yeah, that's who it was.
And listen, there was a Hot Wheels a few years ago that came out called the Dragster, right? And they kind of recreated that thing. They kind of recreated that thing in real life, which I thought was cool. The reason I think the flathead V8 swap is cool, it's like, to me, that was a functional swap for a lot of guys. The ones that did it like back in the day, to me, that was because you're going to take that thing, from a 2-plow maybe to a 3-plow tractor. Like, you're going to actually be able to do a little additional work with it. I got nothing against the other vanity swaps. I think they're awesome too. But to me, that the flathead V8 swap in that thing, to me, just seems cool because it's on the level of being somewhat normal. Like, it's dumb, but it's not like twin turbo, Power Stroke dumb.
And they were available.
Right, it's not super dumb.
Available. You could go. There was a time when you can go to junkyard and get one of those engines, and you could do this. It was accessible.
Yep.
I saw at Labor Day, there's a small town that this old guy had a flathead in one of the Ford tractors, and I'm pretty sure you'll never see a frown on his face driving that down the parade.
Yep. I'm interested. We had a commenter just say that, and I know that he used to provide color commentary with Meekum when they do the Gone Farming. Carl said he saw one sell with a Jaguar motor in it.
Oh, that's great. Probably a 3.8, probably 3.896. Like, that's a traditional dual overhead cam Jag motor. And listen, like, I would guess in England, like a Ferguson, a Ferguson TO3 is basically the same thing as an 8N, right? I mean, when we're basically talking about the same tractor. So somebody in England probably came up with a swap kit to put a Jag motor in one of those. One would guess. I'm just blind guess, but that's awesome.
And I'm not going to be a homer for Ford on this one because I live close to Detroit, but having worked on both, the Ferguson tractor was better.
Listen, he totally boned that guy, right? He stole the 3-point hitch from that guy, in my opinion, right? That's like history.
Harry Ferguson engineered a better tractor than Henry Ford. I'm just going to be honest about it. He did. The TO20 was better than an 8N.
Your Power Stroke is going to be in the driveway forever. It will never start again because of that.
I will leave really tire tracks in your driveway this time next week.
Bring it. Actually, I'll provide the ether.
Oh, there.
Yeah, we will need that. We will need that.
I will be there to film. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll bet you will. You'll have a drone in the air and everything.
Yeah, we'll double time it. So
there we go.
I got a question for Brian.
Sure.
I'm curious from the announcer standpoint over your career, how has the technology changed how you deliver everything that goes on the track? Because I mean the replays, the different angles, the camera angles, and like everything. How has that changed the delivery as you're presenting that from the different events?
No, it's a good question. So for me, it's a lot. It has changed a lot. So I say that, so I gotta talk about this in a couple different ways. So the first way I'll talk about it is in the way that it took me to transition from just like calling the race as a PA announcer versus calling the race on TV, which is when you're a PA announcer, you have all the time in the world. You have the entire time when anything is happening to talk about it. On television, we have 3 hours to make a 5-hour race. So when the event announcer has 2.5 minutes to call a pair or 3 minutes to call a pair of top fuel cars, I might have 15 seconds. So that was the biggest adjustment I had, where instead of being able to call everything in a live moment as it flowed and happened, they tell you, hey, listen, we're going to turn your microphone on 15 seconds before these guys stage, figure something out. That was the hardest part for me. And I'm still learning it, to be honest with you. Like, that's still an adjustment that I make at every race. The second part of that is at most races, we work out of the timing tower where I look at the racetrack. At many races, I work out of a truck where I see TV screens and I call the race off of TV screens versus actually seeing what's happening on the racetrack. So that's also kind of an adjustment. Now, the third level of that is on a call I was just on today, starting in Texas, I'm going to have a tablet in my hand where I can tap on any driver or any person or any whatever and get, their lifetime, statistics, blood type, next of kin, all that
I
information.
need your research department. I need that.
Well, the good news is that's me and another guy named Pete Richards that have kind of helped to build this entire database that they're making this thing off of, which is fine. And Bob Fry, of course, is a foundational part of that as well.
Yes.
And so that's going to be the kind of the next evolution. So yeah, the reason I like to go and do events that are not national events is because I like to flex that muscle. I like to be able to call a race as the normal PA announcer, which to me is more fun to a degree. I love the TV stuff and I love the excitement it provides, and I love being able to tell the story to a huge audience. But there is a big degree of freedom to be able to call the race as it happens in the normal cadence of the event versus let's take 5 hours and make it into 3, because that's our job. That's what we got to do.
As you have a open invitation with me anytime you want. I will
One of these days
indulge
cash
you.
that in.
You tell
Please
me when.
do, and please make sure I'm there with a camera.
I will.
That's a show I want to see.
I still want to get you to Ultimate College Challenge, and COVID deprived us of the one opportunity where it was going to work. But I would
love to see that event. Like, having been part of the way tamed down version of that, of the old Diesel Pyro Challenge. Like, this is that thing totally freaking unhinged. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I'd love to get you there. We'll figure it out. It's just got to work out with the schedule. It just is what it is. Something to touch on with the announcer part of it. You gave back big time this spring. You spearheaded an opportunity for a school, so to speak, for how to do this within the context of drag racing. Not so much the world that necessarily I live in. I cross over into both, but it was an opportunity to learn at the feet of someone like you who's a master of it. And is there an opportunity for people to now sort of get those videos or what do I want to say, podcast versions of that?
Yeah.
To hear that.
Yeah, there is. So you can go to it's called the NHRA Drag Race Announcers Group, and you can join it. You can just Google it. You can join it, and you'll get the links to the videos that have happened over the last really year and a half. And this year, to be honest, has been less videos or less classes than I wanted to have. I did a poor job of scheduling, so we've been probably down a couple of 3 or 4 kind of classes I would have liked to have had. So next year I need to kind of get more rigid on my schedule with that, but it's going to be ongoing. It's going to keep happening. And it's a place where people that are aspiring to be race announcers, whether it's drag racing or tractor pulling or anything, if you've never done it, you should join. If you have done it, you should join. It's a place where we just share ideas and talk about a lot of stuff. It's a weird thing to do because there is no real playbook on how to do it. And so to have these classes to me is important because I never had it coming up. I wish I probably did at some points. I learned my lessons the hard way, as pretty much all of us do in this occupation. So if there's a way to set something up where somebody can learn their lessons the soft way, or not make a mistake that I made before they make it, I would like to have that happen. And, these classes to me have been great because they've been open discussions. They've been great for so many people to talk about what they've been afraid of or what they haven't known or what they wanted to do. So yeah, if you're an aspiring announcer, you can just Google NHRA Drag Race Announcers Group. People will sign up for free and you'll be part of the next class, which probably happening after Pomona sometime.
Cool. So what's cool in the driveway? You got something cool? You still got Buford T Justice, or what do we got?
Only my tractor. That's the only thing I got in the driveway that's anything cool. Only my tractor. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Also, the way that door slammed, I think you're in trouble.
Does not really change the narrative here.
Well, if we're up
No, I
against
know
it,
those.
we
I
can
know
be.
those classes are those classes have proven very, very beneficial for more than just race announcers. I was in Indiana last weekend with with Jeremy and Charles and doing the whole thing, and stopped by to see some friends. And one of those friends is probably one of the most well-known pulling announcers on the planet right now,
Nice.
Miles Krieger, and Butch's kid. If you've probably heard Butch announce, whether you knew it or not, back in the day. Butch is gone, but both of his sons have continued the legacy. And I sat in Miles' office at his office after lunch, and he said, "Yeah, I sat and I've listened to those classes. They were really helpful, especially when what did he say? It was when he was talking about how to handle bad things that happen on the
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
That's and I think that's probably every announcer's worst nightmare.
It is.
Yeah.
No, it is.
Something goes over, something's on fire, some bad things happen. And there are a few guys in our sport who have really figured it out really, really well. But it happens relatively rarely, at least
Yeah.
on a serious note. You get guys who have flare-ups and things like that, and things blow up, but rarely, I mean, these days, do you see somebody really seriously get injured?
Yep.
Thank the Lord. But for Miles, I know that was one of the things that he really appreciated was here's how to handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me that was
serious.
probably the most important class we did. And it's that is, like you said, universal knowledge. It's universal stuff that should be known by everybody. It's just it's bedrock best practices that should be used across kind of all forms. And if nobody's ever told you anything and you see this happen in front of you, how are you supposed to know what to do? So
Right.
to me, that was a big part of why we do these classes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, big deal. I had to learn kind of unfortunately the hard way. Went through it for a long time, and in the last whatever 3 years, went through some serious injuries, and then had a fatal, and it's not fun, especially when as us as announcers, we get to know these people. We
Yeah.
interact with them. They become friends. They become family with us because it allows us to tell their story better. And when one of them suddenly doesn't make the turnout,
Yep.
it's really not fun.
No, it's a nightmare. Total nightmare. Yeah. And so
Okay,
the
so now-
management of that, there's two sides to that, right? The management of it for them and for the people that you're speaking to is one side, and then you have the management of it for yourself, which is the other side. And the idea of placing, you got to place yourself in this kind of second spot, which is kind of difficult, but at the same time you got to present the situation as you know it and as you have it, and then as things become confirmed or they don't become confirmed, that is your license to speak more about it. I mean, it's a very difficult thing. It really is, because you can screw it up bad, and you can screw it up bad enough where it becomes a real big problem for everybody that you're with, and that's the nightmare.
Yeah, in my case, when it happened, it coincided with downpour. We were going to be done for the night.
Gotcha.
So it made it ugly for the guys who had to deal with the situation. But as far as dealing with the crowd, they were already gone by the time we knew really where we were at, because weather had intervened. Yeah, not fun. It's not something I ever want to live again.
No, it's tough. And it kind of separates people from the ones that have paid attention and learned their craft and tried to learn the culture of what they're doing, versus the ones that are just there kind of looking around going, "Oh, this is cool." And I'm not taking a shot at anybody, but the idea of having people be educated on that is important, I think, for across all motorsports.
Yep. Agreed.
We can move on to a happier topic.
Yes,
that'd be good.
That'd be good. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. Let's talk about how much freaking fun it is to watch you and Freiberger call drag week. Oh my gosh. That has to be one of my favorite weeks of the year, just listening to you two insult each other back and forth for 7 hours.
Yeah, no, it's like a therapy session. It's like a weird angry therapy session for a week, or in this case for 3 days because I got screwed up on Monday, having to stay in Pennsylvania. But no, it's great. The guy's one of my best friends. We have crazy amounts of fun, making fun of each other and calling the race. But yeah, it's honestly, it's one of my favorite things to do. And having been on the first one, I think it makes it, to me, more special to be on as many of these as I can be. Because when you saw that thing start and there was really nobody there, and it was just like a weird track rental with no people, it was pretty different. It was cool, but it was different.
Nice. No, I know one of the guys that actually I think he'd graduated by the time I was a freshman, but Clark Rosenstangel, name that I know you've known.
Yeah, Clark. Yeah, no, man, the guy from Michigan, he's got that haul ass Camaro for sure.
Yeah, he my connection to him is he rebuilt the first car I wrecked. It was an '89 Chevy Beretta, and
get out of here.
I hit a deer. Oh yeah, he put it back together, and we got a few more years out of it. But we knew he was about to go fast even back then. He's always had some pretty wild, crazy stuff, and he's just now with him and Steve Morris, he's just kind of taking it to the next level, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, good body man, good dude. He's been around for a long time. He's run standing mile stuff with that car. He's run the drag and drive stuff with that car. But yeah, Clark's great. His wife was like super sick for a while, and super great to see her kind of up and about. Like she was kind of wheelchair bound for several years, and now she's kind of been able to get out of that. But yeah, no, Clark's a hardcore guy, super good dude, and yeah, he had it. I want to say he ran 212 or 215 in the mile with the front of that car completely held together with duct tape one time at ECTA. So I have definitely seen Clark at his finest moments and his finest taped up moments. Yes.
Most ultimate Hulk Hogan haircut.
Yes, exactly. Yes. By the way, Charles,
yes.
We need to send a bill to duct tape.
Yes, that's fine. We can do that.
Thank you for the plug, Brian.
We can do that.
Yeah, no, Clark's a great guy. He's got Steve Morris power in that thing, and it has been a fast car. And I think he got that car, the 5th gen. I feel like he got it. The thing like burned to the ground. It was like a fire car that he got for like no money that he built into that thing that he's got now. So now it's cool. Clark's a great guy.
Yeah, and his body shop was it was probably less than an eighth of a mile as the crow flies from the pulling track in my hometown.
Nice.
So, yeah, kind of neat. So yeah, it's been fun to watch him, and I always try and log in early when that comes on, because I know he usually is one of the first, and I think he was this year. I think he was the first to make a lick on that track.
Always a Group 1 guy, and always a very, very early Group 1 guy. He wants to get his one and done so he can get in the road for sure.
Yep. So yeah, it's been fun to watch that, and it's always been fun to hear you guys call a name from my hometown. I'm from a tiny town. We raise dairy cows and we grow apples. I'm an apple farmer's kid or an apple grower's kid from West Michigan, and to hear that, and to see him doing big things is always kind of cool to me.
Totally. No, the guy's awesome.
Not far from the tree, did it?
So when are you guys headed west again? Headed west-ish or Midwest-ish?
So we head to Dallas next week. I'm leaving Wednesday to go to Dallas, and then we go Dallas, Vegas, Pomona to end our season. So we are on the final. We're on the final stretches of the last 3 races of the year for us for NHRA. So yeah, Dallas, Vegas, Pomona. Yep.
Nice. And drag week, do we have any plans for drag week coming back west? I know you can't divulge a route yet, but I don't think
those guys are talking about some stuff. I don't know, maybe there's some variant of it. I think I would not be surprised if there's some sort of westward facing multiple drag strip event happening in 2024 via the folks at Hot Rod Magazine. That's what I'm going to say.
Nice.
Well,
I shall not brand it anything, but yeah.
My local Tom Bailey's got something going on with Death Week starting soon.
Yeah, that's 2,200 miles. They're going to be at our Vegas event. I mean, that's a lot.
It's going to be what it's titled as. It's going to be
that is a large order that they're going through right there. So yeah, hey, listen, I wish everybody on it luck, and I wish them the best. But geez, Louise,
it's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal.
They're coming to Vegas for the NHRA race, so we look forward to seeing them. But my God, like that is self-torture beyond self-torture. I mean, and you're paying for it. Like you paying for it
to do this.
Right.
You're going to run through Death Valley and everything else and all the tracks that they're going to go to, which it's still hot out there. Like it's not.
Oh yeah. No, it's an awesome and probably the greatest single feat for any street legal drag racing style car to complete this thing. But my God, that is a lot. That is a lot that's happening there. I am 100% glad I'm not part of it. I'm glad to see them and wish them well. Glad I'm not following them.
So you're not going to be an announcer on that tour?
No, negatory on the Death Valley tour. I'm an Irish guy. My people pick potatoes in the cloudy weather of Ireland. I'm not designed to be in the desert of even driving through it. Not even designed to do that. That's it.
I love it. Awesome.
So, Charles, hit that comment from Carl Downs when you get a chance. That's a good question.
Yeah, I will. Let Cody get in here.
I was going to say, since you're talking about events that coming up, is there a track or an event that you haven't been to or announced that you really want to?
Yeah, I'd love to go to Santa Pod, England. That's to me that's number one on my list. I would love to go over there and work with Colin and Luke and those guys. For any of their races, I think Santa Pod, outside of any of the stuff in the United States, Santa Pod to me is the kind of pinnacle, next level drag strip. It's been open since the late 1950s, early 1960s. It's really the crucible of drag racing in Europe. So there or any of the Australian tracks, those would be the places I'd really like to go next. I've been to most of the big Canadian tracks. I've been I've been to Grand Bend, Ontario. I've been out there to out in the western part of Canada with the used to run the Rocky Mountain Nationals out there in IHRA, but been at Toronto Motorsports Park. So to me, the next logical leap is England or Australia. Those are the two places I'd love to go.
This is one from one of our commenters, and I think this is a good one. Carl Downs wants you to tap into your inner Wes Buck and give input on how to promote motorsports to the upcoming EA Sports kids or the iRacing kids.
Yeah, you have to get them to touch it and feel it. That to me is the thing. And the idea, and it's the old man idea. The old man idea is that the video game's the gateway to get him into something. But I guess we just saw that movie that just came out where the video game actually was a gateway to a guy to become a professional race car driver. So to me, that we always to me, the video game is the modern version of a Hot Wheels car that a guy played with in the 70s. Like, okay, so the video game is that Hot Wheels car. So now, let's get him to feel his guts rumble a little bit when he hears some dude that's got a 10,000 RPM blown alcohol motor, or some guy that's got whatever, got a crazy pro stock tractor with some whack ass diesel in it, that's going crazy. What do I want that kid to experience? And so to me, that's the thing. It's, you have to take the interest in the basic part of it and just translate it into interest in real life. Seems really simple, but it's harder. And the disconnect is the parents. We blame the kids, but the kids aren't the problem. The kid that finds the video game racing cars interesting isn't the problem. That kid needs to get to the racetrack somehow, and that's through his parents.
I've never thought of it in that sense. You are right with that take. That's good.
It's not the kid. The kid, we always blame the kid. Well, this kid just plays video games. Well, yeah, because he looks at his dad and says, "Hey, I want to go to the racetrack." Well, how do we get the dad to the racetrack? It's a weird multi-level marketing scheme, but we don't need the kid's already hooked.
Yeah.
Like the kid's hooked.
And we're let's be honest, we're in an age where the dad is already thumbs. Like,
Yeah.
I'm playing Madden 2K or whatever, and like, I'm building a dynasty. We got to get dad into it.
To a degree, it's like you have these games that are effectively interactive, and it's like you should almost be feeding tickets to these kids. It's like, feed this kid tickets through the game somehow and be like, hey, Dad, I got 2 free tickets to go see whatever this weekend.
Yeah.
We're all adults here. If somebody says he can get it something for free, hell yeah. I'll go in there and grab a couple beers and hang out and watch whatever my kid wants to watch. But to me, it's not the kid. We always blame the kid. It's not the kid. The kid can't get himself to the racetrack. The kid needs to be transported there via his parents. And that's where the disconnect is. That's my take.
That's I never ever considered that perspective of this issue, and you just nailed it right on the head. That's deep. Like that a lot.
Carl, we owe you a beer for asking a good question, man.
Carl, I definitely owe you. See you at Shipshawana. I'll get you one.
I probably should bail at this point.
All right. I will let you go.
Other than lest the door slam again.
Right. The next one's coming in with a 12 gauge. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that on
video.
video.
We don't need that. We don't want that. Even if you are a red guy, you can't handle that.
Absolutely welcome to this program anytime in the future, and hopefully we can do it again. I'll let you go.
Oh, thank you for having me. Absolutely. No, it's great. I appreciate you guys having me on. I love the topics and the discussion for sure.
Thanks, Brian, so much. Man. I appreciate you.
All right. See you, fellas.
Thank you, Brian.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. Well, I can cross that one off my bucket list.
Yeah, he was in trouble. He was in trouble.
Oh, the look over his shoulder.
I'm gonna have to do some smoothing over and some apologizing.
Maybe we ought to just get on ftd.com and just kind of send a flower arrangement and say.
I was gonna say, need to send it to her, not to him.
That's the point. Yeah, and the card will say we're sorry that we stole him for an hour and a half.
Do we know how to do that anymore though? Because like we lost Dick Buckus today, and I'm not sure how to get on the FTD database anymore.
Wait, say what now?
Yes, you heard me.
Well, shit.
Yeah, I know.
That's wow. I'm glad you waited to drop that one. That sucks.
I didn't mean to, but like we went to go get our flowers, and it's like FTD, and like, well, you know, I just did what I did.
Yeah.
I agree, Colin. I agree. And you're welcome. Happy to have him. And Brian will be back again. That's the second time he's been on Sidetracked. It will not be the last. I guarantee you.
Maybe we'll get you on with him, Colin.
We can do that because
he likes talking to people who push limits and do crazy, ridiculous things.
I've been trying to line up. I've been trying to line up like the next 3 or 4 guests, and Colin is one of them.
I knew it.
We'll get you in here. Absolutely.
That was fun.
I thought like I
said I wasn't going to fanboy, and I don't think I did, but
I was waiting to get him from what he does in his office, so to speak, where he does the Nitro Time Machine. And I was going to give him some shit about having a Shure SM7B just for Cody's benefit. And then he went like full on hardcore. Like, I'm going to my voiceover booth with like the super cardioid mic. Legit. I couldn't even bag on him. Like,
I almost asked him what
mic.
Thank you,
Brian. That was sweet. I was waiting to have some fun with him on that one. I couldn't even. He denied me. And
you know what? We never got to Dorkomotive.
No,
for those of you who do the podcast thing, I want you to just go Google Dorkomotive or wherever you get your podcast.
You need
Dorkomotive. It's not all race cars. It's not all tractor pulling. He has done one on tractor pulling, I think. EJ. He did the one on EJ, which is part tractor pulling, part just lunatic.
Yeah. So it was tangential to the story.
But he's covered things about farming. He's covered things about everything from farming to firefighting. He talks about, the biggest, baddest fire truck in the world and how it got its name and why and yada yada yada.
The biggest steam riverboat on the Mississippi and its accident, and the world water speed record, and a crazy race across the Pacific for airplanes that led into tragedy for a lot of people. Yeah, he's told some fantastic stories, and that was probably the one thing that I regret that we didn't talk about tonight is, and I definitely want to highlight for him and what he's willing to do, and that we're willing to do and will do, is the willingness to avoid the snarky meme or the quick soundbite or any of that stuff, and to tell the deeper story with context. Some of the videos I've done and want to continue to do, he put out one tonight. It released about, 5:00 this afternoon, about Ohio George and Super Gas, and did Ohio George Super Gas Mustang kill the category? And the essential story was that no, that it didn't. The coming of nitromethane and floppers and everything was what was going to do it in. It's about a 12-minute watch. Where he is super blessed is in the access to the archives of knowledge for drag racing to be able to tell those stories and give those contexts. Whereas tractor pulling, we are very much limited to tribal knowledge.
What people remember. Yeah.
Yeah. And
100%.
if there is photos, it's tough to get. And if there's video to get, it's even harder to come by, because I try to tell those same sort of stories. It's not that I don't want to tell them. It's just the level of effort and involvement to be able to pull something like that off is so much higher and so much more difficult than what he's doing. And what he's doing is not easy.
No.
I admire the hell out of what Brian does with Dorkomotive Podcast. And if you follow him on Instagram, same sort of story. It's 1 minute to 2 minute videos where it's not just a quick, easy, something stupid. You're going to get a contextualized story boiled down in 2 minutes. And that's where he mentioned, the compression that he's under with the TV presentation to be able to tell a story. He's learned how to do that in a very good way that I think I probably need to, maybe we need to with this channel, to tell some stories as well, to chop out the irrelevant and tell a real story with context, and do it in a minute. But it's also going to rely upon you as an audience to pay the fuck attention for a whole minute. And I don't know how many can do that, because I see the numbers that come on the backside of clip of the day and whatever. People hang on for 15 seconds. They're not down for the whole thing. They're not down for the read of what I type in. But I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. I'd rather tell the real story than go for the cheap shot or the funny or the meme or the viral. Do I want to do that? Yeah, of course. Are you kidding me? What are we here doing? But I'd rather tell real stories.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And Chris Shirts, I think you may be right. It may not have been EJ Potter. It might have been. It probably was Art.
Yeah, it might have been. And that might have been in the greater context of something with a land speed record, because I know I think he did once about that. And,
he did talk about that. Yeah,
I think he did.
But he does, and it's perfect for those of you guys who live your life.
Oh, hey, look at this guy. Here he is. Holy shit.
Yes, I made it.
Oh my God, he's here. The black box is not the black box. Whatever. There he is.
Yeah. It's like 65 in my house because I was like, I'm not paying to heat it when I'm gone. It's so nice.
You're such a cheap ass.
No, he's a
smart.
Well, when you're gone with his money.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's just an ass. I don't know.
That too.
Something.
But
no, I was starting to say, for those of you guys who live in the combine or in the grain cart or in the semi this time of year. Brian does. I mean, this Dorkomotive podcast is not short form.
No,
Like the one on the water speed record. He talks about speedboats.
It's pushing 5
Hell,
hours.
it's like 3.5 minutes or 3.5 hours long.
It's long.
It's and it goes into great detail and stuff like that. I mean, it's like it's like Interesting Iron. The column that I write, it's like Interesting Iron on steroids.
Yeah, that one
God,
really
I wish I
resonated
had
with
the
me.
access that he has.
Well, and that was something I wanted to ask him about, and I don't know if he would tell us. Is what is his research? He does allude to it briefly about, I think it's newspaper.com, and I think you have to pay for that, where you can find some stuff. But I don't have the interaction with that as a source. I think maybe even for tractor pulling, there might be some sources for knowledge even hidden in there. But how do you search it? And is it
right?
Does a search engine have any sort of intelligence to it? And even beyond that, with what he does for Dorkomotive, it is so wide and so broad in its scope. You can't be doing that out of a need for a story. It has to come from an intrinsic connection with what the subject matter is. Like, he believes in the story he's telling, and it's interesting to him, because how else would you invest I'm going to just say, like, to do the water speed record show, it's like 4 hours of podcast. He had to have had, I'm going to say, 40 hours into reading and understanding and dissolving all of that into something that is a cohesive story, and then writing it.
Right.
And
then recording it all.
But
and
I
we
think
saw the only piece of the magic we saw from Dorkomotive, we saw the room where it's recorded. We got to see that.
Right.
But I think he's got
a room of doom in the basement with a, with I know what mic he was using. That was pretty sweet. That it wouldn't work for this, but for what he was doing.
But I think he's got such a love and a passion for motorsports and everything in general, that's what drives that,
Yeah.
I mean, like he was talking about, you can't get cornered into one section and only live in that section, like being able to transpose and kind of flow through the different areas of motorsports. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. He showed off
for him. It's not even motorsports. I mean, hell, I think the last Dorkomotive that I saw that he released, it was like 2.5 hours on freaking the invention of the Ferris wheel.
Yo, yeah, that was another one. That was another one. Yeah.
So at some point in time, he had to come to the point where Alice Chalmers power units painted purple powering every Ferris wheel like in the world.
No, so they.
So I suppose it still ties back to tractors.
They did do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing what he's able to do and focus his time, and that's the bigger thing. Focus his time. For as busy as that man is, to be able to pull off what he does in terms of driving content. This week, in the front of the office, we've had the NHRA Classic channel up, and Nitro Time Machine is all him. There's a bunch of shows that come up that's all him doing and he's taking the time to do the voiceover work for a bunch of that. And today must have been Throwback Thursday, because we deep dived into the 70s. We had Chris Economaki videos today, which was led me to be very distracted, but it was good. What was that, Cody?
That's my ADD kicking in.
No, I didn't hear what you said.
I was getting rid of notifications and it clicked on the video. So again, but I have to multitask to be able to accomplish things in life.
No, it was kick ass. Glad to have him, and the invite does stand to him, and I will tell him that. Like, anytime you want to be back on this show, like I want more of that with him. We've told his story before, and his story's been told far and wide. Like, I'm not interested in doing an interview with Brian Lohnes. That's been done. I I want to hear what he has to say and what he understands about the sport. And he gave a big piece of that to us tonight, and very thankful for that.
Yeah,
it was good to hear him say that the overall health of motorsports is good.
Yeah,
because I think we get stuck in our own myopic bubble, and that bubble includes all of you who are watching tonight. We all get stuck in that bubble where we think, oh, tractor pulling is dying, blah, 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 blah. And you're right. We're right. It probably is. At the end of the day, drag racing will be around long after tractor pulling is dead and gone. And I think that's a fair statement to say, and I'll argue with it. But to hear that motorsports is still alive and well, I appreciated that. That was good to hear. And, it's guys who are doing different stuff. I don't know how many of you guys paid for the subscription to Cleater Vision, but Cletus McFarland is doing some amazingly cool things. And Brian's been part of at least one of them, I guess at IRP with the burnout box. But there are still some parts of motorsports that are alive and well. And to the extent that, we can do a better job of connecting with kids and, like he said, get the, or maybe getting the parents or the grandparents in our case, to bring the kids to a tractor pull or a truck pull or, any motorsport event. That's, good for everybody all the way around.
I had really bad signal when he was talking about that, but I think one of the big things is the transparency of the transparency of everything that's come through is into, I had a good run, I had a bad run, the guys are doing this in the pits or, whatever. I think the transparency of the teams has become more critical in showcasing that stuff. And I think that's part of the reason, like, some of the motorsports is growing a little bit, is that transparency into actually going on instead of just a closed door, you don't get to see it back there. I was laughing because you talked about Cletus, and the first thing on the timeline as I scrolled down is Cletus dropping a car off and says, the guys fixed my car and they scratched it. Come see the scratch at FL2K type of thing. So I thought that was kind of funny. So it's like a beater car. It's
a shit box. Okay. Fair enough.
He posts a picture of it, like perfect paint, like, paint corrected and everything, of like, here's the day I dropped it off, and this is what it looks like now. It's all sun faded Supra and everything. So it's like the
all right.
perfect
Well,
thing. But
like one of the last videos I watched of Cleaters was that 911, and I thought somebody put a scratch in the 911, and that would make me hurt. That would hurt my heart.
But I think that it's like, we talk about new faces and Charles, you talk about, who's coming into the drag racing, but I think it's stuff like this and some of these channels and these guys that are pushing the limits, and that was one of the things I loved about Ken Block. And, I was in Detroit, went to the Henry Ford Museum and got to see Ken Block's car from, that was kind of neat to see that. But these guys that are pushing, motorsports, and it's getting more and more people involved in it, and I think that's kind of fun to watch and see that type of thing. So,
well, I don't want to keep us going too much longer, but two things I do want to do. I discussed this for sure with Ryan. I don't know if I discussed it with Cody or not. Two parts that I want to make a piece of our program every week, or at least every week that we do the show, is number one, what are you reading? And because the three of us love to be photographers and do what we do, like, show me a photo. Just every week, show me something that you love and that you took, and what's something you're proud of from this week. I'm not going to put you on the spot with a photography thing for this week because we didn't necessarily talk about it beforehand. And on the book side, just tell us what you're reading. What's the thing that you're into and you're looking at, because we're all nerds here, and I think it really does inform a lot that we do. I'll go first, and I'm even going to put up here what it is that I'm in the middle of, and I'm trying to knock this thing out because the next thing that's coming behind it is huge, I think, for for this show and for us understanding motorsports on a bigger level. And I'll get to that when I do get it delivered, ordered it this morning, but we'll save that one for later. But here's what I'm into. But I cannot talk and work this stupid shit.
Words are hard. I get it.
Yeah.
What you're saying is you don't.
I cannot multitask. Anyway, here it is. Driven to Crime is the book. It's pretty thick. It's like 500 pages. What it's about is every single chapter is a short story. So it's kind of easy to read because if you're busy or whatever, like you can knock out 4 or 5 pages and read out one particular story. But in every case, it's somebody affiliated with the motorsports worldwide who has some criminal sort of tie-in. And I'm here to tell you, when it came to England, particularly in the United States in the 1980s and 1990s, boy, embezzling money was a big deal, and it was super freaking easy. Holy shit. It was amazing. And number 2 was running drugs. And now, like, weed is legal from here to Christmas around here. It's incredible. But it's a fun read. It's quick and easy. Like I said, you can knock out a chapter a night or whatever, and it's from 4 to 10 pages on a particular individual and their story within the sport. So that's what I'm in the middle of right now.
Here's what I'm in the middle of. Whoops. Survival of the Fastest.
Okay. Speaking of people who
Randy
have a chapter
Lanier.
featured in my book.
Yeah, I would hope he's got a chapter in your book.
He has a chapter in my book, which I've already read, and that book I have read is fantastic.
Yeah.
It tells a story. And he links to other people who are not only not in this book, but some who should be. As racers, as racers, tangentially through him.
And as truck pullers.
Which has never come up, which we learned about this last weekend, that there was a connection there that never came up in the video or that book. It doesn't get mentioned.
No,
Randy
Lanier never mentioned this person.
And I don't know that I'm going to either.
No, and I don't know that I'm going. I won't either. But some of you people probably know. Gerbaugh's watching. I know damn well he knows. Gerbaugh, do not put it in the comments, please.
Yeah, please don't, because people will see it. We're going to keep that one.
That dickhead's going to put it in the comments. You know he will.
Well, then
and
it's
that's
on
why
him.
we love him, but
then it's on him. But no, we're going to keep that one buried. I don't.
We're going to leave you to figure that out. But
Randy was good enough to bury that honor and carry that honor. We're going to carry it too.
Now, that said, Randy Lanier's story is amazing. And if you don't get into books because you don't have time or whatever.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. Love you, buddy. There are several terrific podcast interviews with him. Dale Jr. did a 2-parter on the Dale Jr. download.
Excellent.
Probably in 21. I think you scroll back through, you'll find it. There's a search Randy Lanier.
I think it was. I think I listened to it. I feel like I listened.
Yeah, but when you listen to it, doesn't
this year? Like it's recent.
No, it was way before that because I remember listening to it when snow was on the ground.
Okay, that's fair.
But he did one, and then Matt Farah with the Smoking Tire. I don't know how many of you listen to the Smoking Tire, another excellent podcast on the sports car side.
Guilty.
Cheers.
Might have been influential in some things that happened for me.
Yeah, perhaps what's parked in my driveway or in my garage. But excellent story. The guy's done his time. He's paid for his sins, so to speak. And it's just really interesting to listen to him talk about what was going on. And yes, there have been if you're not a podcast person.
1 hour.
Yeah. Yep. Get on the what is the name of that series that it falls under? It's not a standalone piece, but
it's not. It's one of like 8.
Yeah.
I can look.
But it's a series dedicated to, crime in sports, I think, if I remember right.
Yes. Yeah. Like I didn't watch any of the other ones, so I'm not going to sit here and speculate.
Some of you guys have probably watched it. So
Crap,
yes, throw it in the comments. If you know what it is, just throw it in the comments so people can find it later. But yeah, that was a terrific, just a great story. And yeah, like it does, like I said, it does actually have a connection to truck and tractor pulling. It's kind of interesting. Might have to do a little digging to find it because, like we also said, Randy doesn't kiss and tell. But yeah, the reason there were so many, if you ever go back and watch like 80s sports car racing, you'll see a ton of, not a ton, but you'll see some cars, 911s and sports cars of all sorts, and even some of the higher echelon stuff like Indy and F1 with no sponsors on them. There's a reason.
The series is called Bad Sport, and it covers a bunch of stuff from like figure skating to all kinds of stuff. But the episode you want is called Need for Weed.
Yeah.
Which features Randy Lanier.
Or you can go watch the interviews about, Tony Harding, kneecapping Nancy Kerrigan, whatever.
Yeah.
We don't judge. We don't judge.
Don't spend time on that.
No. Anyway.
But yeah, you'll find him. His story links into a lot of what was the acronym that in the late 70s, early 80s for IMSA, International Marijuana Smuggling Association or something.
Yes, that was the thing
between Randy Lanier, the Whittingtons, and John Paul Sr. and John Paul Jr. It was bad. It was bad.
My reading list is lately has been considering what time my alarm is set for. But it's the one that I've started, and actually Natalie Parrish just finished this, and she was ranting about it too. But is David Goggins? It was Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and that's one that I've started but haven't really made it very far in. But that's a really good book. So from everybody that's read it, I've got another one that I'll share later on once I finish this, in 6 months or 12 years.
Yeah, that's the problem is we get a little bit of downtime, just enough to get through the first 80 pages of the book. And then we don't, then life gets busy and yada, yada, yada. And suddenly we can't,
Was it you and I who talked about this one, the Can't Hurt Me deal? This is if I'm not mistaken, this is a U.S. Marine.
Yep.
His story. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a very interesting story. So, fun fact is when I previously worked in sales, I bought the audio version of this and thought, I'm going to listen to this because I fall asleep reading books. Yeah, that doesn't work very well when you're on the phone all the time and you have to restart, 20 minutes prior to figure out where you left off. And then you don't even make it through those 20 minutes. You get a phone call again, or you got, this or that. So I was like, you know what? I'm just buying a book. And so I bought a book, and I've made it a very short distance into the book so far. But that's what's on my docket. I have another one. I don't remember the name of it, but it's by Greg Stubbe. And again, my ADHD doesn't allow me to sit still very long, and I have to be doing something. I listened to Greg Stubbe talk. He was in the military, and he was in an IED explosion, and his guts were outside of his body, and they're trying to figure out how to shove them back in his body. He should not be alive today. And I've never been so captivated by a speaker. And I've listened
too. Yep.
Yeah, I've never listened. I mean, I've listened to speakers all over, and but I've never just sat there and I don't think about anything else. My brain goes 100 different ways all day long. You ask either one of these two, and I've got 100 different thoughts. on a Rolodex waiting to
It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous, the things he sends us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like I mean, it's a
I'm-
Rolodex of everything that's going through my head, and like I just sat there, and it's one of the reasons that I love taking photos of stuff is because you think about nothing else than 5,000 horsepower coming at you through a lens, and that's but yeah.
Just,
So
just give him a middle finger and be done with it.
Yeah. But that's the other one that's on my list, and like I said, I'm lost at the name of it at the moment. But Greg Stubbe, like that was, I mean, he does motivational speaking stuff now, but that was a good one. So
all I want to know is, did they use duct tape, and can we send duct tape on another invoice?
I don't think they use duct tape.
Well, damn.
But yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, him talking about it. I mean, it was you just sat there in awe, and the fact that he signed the book, gave you a book, and took a picture with you. It was I don't know. It really made you think about things, and that's one of my big things in life is appreciate the small things. And when you sit and listen to something like that, I mean, you think about that even more. It doesn't matter if it's flowers in the road ditch when you're driving down the interstate type of thing or anything like that. Just, I mean, appreciate the small things in life. And I've kind of been notorious for, if it won't matter in 5 minutes or 5 years, why bitch about it now? So.
Agreed.
I'll tell you why bitch about it.
Huh?
Because I have the internet and I have a platform, and damn it, you're going to listen.
And it lives forever. We make sure of it.
Yes.
I'm going to throw out there. I talked about the, we're going to do it like photo of the day or whatever, photo of the week. I'm going to throw you with one just because I want to inspire you two guys to do this. It doesn't, you don't have to respond this week. Just like think of it for the future shows or whatever. I want to do this because I think it's fun. Just something for us. Be self-indulgent for a minute. I threw this one out there. I took this. I was back away from the track, and after at SDX, we talked about getting kicked off the sideline, and kind of what it would do, and had the opportunity for this one because I was back with Greg Jolly, who is the race director for the Outlaw Diesel Super Series, and Ralph Maybrier, who is from Total Venue Concepts and does all track prep for all the drag races. We were just chatting and screwing around, and that's Amy Gilbert in the foreground there. And this 2.6 truck comes ripping through there, and I forget who the hell it was. And Greg takes a picture with his cell phone of this event and sends it to Amy, and is like, "You make a better door than you do a window there, Amy." Just having some fun with her. And so I made the post. I posted this photo. I said, I had a great time with Greg and Ralph, and we both chose to use the foreground that was available to us, which includes a fantastic photographer in the form of Amy Gilbert. And I steered people to Amy's page, and I do believe she does.
Suck up.
She does take great photos. But I said,
she does, 100%.
Two of us used you to show foreground speed and the violence and power that is the sport of truck and tractor pulling, but only one of us did it on purpose.
I just sent you a picture, Charles.
Okay. All right. Yep.
So that is one. Again, I had some time to kill, and so I went through the Henry Ford Museum, and
I can't wait to see what this is.
That was Bill and Bob Summers on those salt flats.
Goldenrod.
Yep.
I already know.
Yep. And it was really interesting to see that, like, they were born in Omaha, Nebraska. And you think about this, like, like where they were at. I mean, they both ended up in Colorado, but they were born in Omaha, Nebraska. That's in my backyard. And the fact that, like, two guys, resolution looks like,
I can't help that.
Anyhow, But the fact that, like, these guys, I mean, they converted a vegetable stand in their home in California, and there's four motors underneath the hood of this thing to make it work.
I don't remember if Summers did they use 4 Hemis or 4 Pontiacs?
Chrysler V8s, hemispherical. It was 4 Chrysler V8 hemispherical combustion chambers. It was 426 cubic inches each of them.
So you see 2 air intakes there, and one side is crank to crank, the other side is crank to crank, and one's driving the back axle and the other's driving the front axle.
That was the part that threw me for a loop. Is I didn't realize that 2 of them are driving the front axle and 2 are driving the back axle. And so as I'm walking through, I see this from the front, and then I walk around to read everything about it, because I don't know, it just, I've seen pictures of it, but to see it in person type of thing, and then to read more in depth about it, it was that was a fun one. It had 2 Spicer 5-speed manual transmissions in there, with the first gear removed, simultaneous shifting, with a special Hurst shifter. And that was, I mean, I don't know, it was just thinking about that when they did that, when they did that, it was in 1965, and it held the record until 1991. That's impressive. That's not a short time span by any means. The fact that they made that work in 1965 at 409 point something. It just, I don't know. It makes you sit back and think about some of that stuff a little bit, about the engineering and what it has happened since then. To your point, Charles, when we had some,
it makes me think. I'm trying to remember who broke that record at that point.
The standard guess would be Breedlove, but
no, it's not, because he was out of it by then.
Yeah, I don't remember. And I don't think it.
God, it's driving me nuts, because Vesco was all turbine stuff.
I didn't. So the other, I mean, like I said, you could have spent hours and hours in that museum in Detroit, but the fact that I didn't know that they tried running a turbine engine in Le Mans that didn't take off. That was kind of interesting.
Pretty sure they tried running one at Indy too, didn't they?
I don't know the answer to that one.
Al Teague, that's the name that's coming to me. He was the one to break it. I think it was Al Teague who broke the Summers wheel-driven record. There was all that time where we had stuff going on with, the Vescos with Turbinator and then all the unlimited records that were thrust-driven. I think it was Al Teague. That was the name I think I was looking for. Anyway, sorry. And Al Teague had a single blown V8, I think, with a partial shot of nitromethane in it. Trying to run that.
As for my photo of the week, I put it in the private chat. Pick one. I don't care.
Okay. Actually, I see 3 there. 3 posts.
Yeah, just pick one. I don't care which.
Right. I will do that. Oh, okay. I know where you're going with this. I like this. I like this a lot. I like it a lot. Because there's a story behind this. Like this very, very much. This is awesome.
That's the one I thought you might choose.
Yep.
So my caption on this was, "This is the photo. This is the future of motorsports right here, folks, or motorsports media."
Yes, it is.
And truthfully, I think that I firmly believe it. I believe it in the case of one of those two young men.
One of them's not going to be able to escape it because by birthright he can't. Well, and really both of them can't.
Well, no, my question is whether or not the kid wearing the media penny, which on me looked like a crop top, and it was yeah. We won't go there, and I can't remember which of you said, but crop tops are cool. It was PK, Phil Kelly. No, crop tops don't look good on fat guys. They look great on some people, not on fat guys. Hello. Anyway, back to the story. So the kid in the blue shirt is Jeremy Wagler's kid. The kid in the white shirt is John Gingrich's kid, and John is, I believe I'm right when I say he's an employee. I think he works for Jeremy.
Yes. Yeah.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah.
So he was manning.
Yep.
He was manning the concession stand all weekend at Wagler Motorsports Park, and I went up there to grab a Mountain Dew and something to eat, and he asked me, just kind of, fairly, just making small talk, what advice would you give to a young kid who's trying to grow his following and start into motorsports media? Because I had to wear one of those media, tank top, crop top, whatever the hell they are things. And of course they gave me a large. I am not a large. I'm much larger than a large. At any rate, he asked me the question, and I gave him a few pointers, and so on and so forth, and I asked him, "Who's your kid?" Because obviously the kid wasn't there. The kid was at the track taking pictures, which is what I was supposed to be doing at the time. And so he told me, he said he'll be the one that's running around with Wagler's kid and not wearing the media thing. And so just so happens, I walk back to the track, and there these two are, and they're reviewing photos together, which is the same damn thing that Charles and Cody and I will do all the time. Like legit all the time. Did you get the shot? No. Did you? No. Well, I did.
Oh yeah, we do, like, as photographers on the sideline. Like everybody thinks like we're in competition with one another. We're not. Like we all look,
right.
Like if something goes down and we all look at each other like, man, did you get that? And if somebody does, we're like, holy shit, it's awesome. That's sweet. I can't wait for you to post that. Like it's not.
And spoiler alert, it's usually Cody who gets it.
Yeah,
Cody's usually, I'm the guy who I got it.
We're not. We're seriously not competitive. And if you are competitive on our sideline, guess how long you're going to last in this industry?
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
I just have like stupid cat-like reflexes, and sometimes it's a curse when you drop a knife that Ryan sharpens. You drop it and you like end up stabbing yourself. It's not fun.
That's the one good thing that comes out of it. His cat-like reflexes mean he wears a lot of Band-Aids because he bought a knife from me once.
I will be bringing a drawer full of them for you to sharpen a ship.
Yeah, you won't have any fingers left after I'm done.
That's fine. I'm good with that.
His wife
no,
is
I'm
like,
not. I'm not, because you have to hold a microphone with something.
That's fine. I'm good. I dig rocks out of tracks with my.
And we've hit our third invoice to duct tape for the night.
Yes, we have. We're gonna have to upgrade to Gorilla Tape.
His wife is like, dude, he spent 8 hours sharpening that knife. I was like, yeah, I know, and I was like, I've got proof.
Yeah, as he holds up 3 fingers on a full
hand. I'm fine.
And the worst problem is, like, 2 weeks later, I'm trying to cut a zip tie off of something, and like I knew I was holding it wrong, and
my gosh,
and I sliced up my foot,
like towards you. You didn't pull it towards you, did you?
No, I was going away, but it when I went up, it went through and poked out the top of the nail. I was like, that's gonna hurt. Yeah.
The only broken bone and the only stitches I've ever had both been in this finger, and for different reasons. And the stitches were self-inflicted knife wound because I wanted to pull a knife away from somebody for a deliberate reason. I pulled it towards myself because I didn't cut them. Yeah, guess who I cut? Me.
Mm-hmm.
And I left it jammed in, and I walked over to the ambulance. It was at our county fair during the concert. It was oh shit, somebody in the '90s who was big. Doesn't matter. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But like I left it jammed in because I knew pulling it away was bad, and I walked over to the ambulance. I go, I did a thing, and like yeah, you need to go to the hospital and get stitches. So I missed the whole damn Lone Star. It was Lone Star. I missed Lone Star because I stabbed myself.
So when I was a kid, I had
in retrospect, no, it wasn't.
I had a neighbor kid that had he bought a Ninja Star that had 3 blades on it, and when you would throw it, the blades would expand, and they were like a curved blade. So there's 3 curved blades. And I don't know if I threw faster than or what, but I went to throw it. And as I'm coming over the top, the back blade opened, and I still have a scar that it sliced all the way down. And I looked down and I'm seeing bone and tendon. I was like, that's good. And all I remember is I ran straight to the house, to the bathroom. I shut the door and I was like, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. And I super glued it shut. And we never spoke about the neighbor's kid's Ninja Star ever to this day. And, yeah, it was just one of those deals. It happened. So
this is why you don't buy Ninja Stars from the mall or Amazon.
That's fair.
This is why you don't buy Ninja Stars.
Period. Yes.
I didn't buy it. He bought it. You know.
So anyway, the kind of the PS to that photo that I took was, this is the future of motorsports media. And Charles and I all weekend were tickled to death to see those guys being so damn excited about what they got to do. Because that it means that when we're dead and gone, there's going to be somebody who's still amped up about this and still excited about it.
And
go ahead.
Well, into what Brian did with the NHRA DRAG deal to coach new announcers back over the spring too. There was some deep, good knowledge about how to do this business, and they'll know that we're not scared of new people coming in.
No, not at all.
We want new people to come in and assume that mantle. And frankly, if you do it better than us, awesome. Like I'll step aside. Like I'll get the hell out of the way. We want that, and I know so does Brian. We're passionate about the maintenance of the sport so that we can continue to enjoy it, whether we're participants in it or not. It does mean that much. So it's cool to see that next generation, seeing them be photographers, seeing my kids do what they do, just across the board. Like I want to see young people, somebody under 20. This is a big thing right now on the diesel drag racing side. Is all the nominations going on right now for Drag Illustrated 30 under 30, and there is plenty of people who are deserving of it. There's plenty who have earned it in the past. I'm looking for the 20 under 20, because who's coming behind them? Because when you're 30 under 30, you're a badass until you're 27, and then you get married and you want to have kids and you want it and you want it and you want it, and all of a sudden, like, you were the baddest shit on the planet under 30 years old, and then you disappear.
Yeah.
Where's that 20 under 20 person coming from that is going to be a lifer? That's going to be us. That's gonna stretch into their 40s, and be not to make it about me. I'm not trying to, but this is the tail end. This next weekend is the end of my 23rd year. The tail of my 23rd year, and it's a goal for me. I want to make it to 50. I want to make it to 50 years. I want to do that. So where's the kid who's coming in behind us, who's young, that has that goal? Like 50 years from now, I want to be doing this, because that's what keeps it alive. That's what keeps it going.
Eli Emming, we're talking to you.
Yes, Eli would be Eli. Yeah, great call.
That was just the guy that came to mind first. And
Do
he's
you know?
putting in
Have
the
you met
time.
him?
And
Have you met him?
huh?
Have
Oh,
you
yeah.
met Eli? Yeah, great guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good dude. Good dude.
And so-
Technically, the company that he works for is a Tractors and Auctioneer partner. So yeah.
Nice. So those of you who are listening tonight, a little bit different version of Sidetracked, and expect both. Expect the rants and the tirades, but expect the deeper, thoughtful, respectful piece. Expect what's coming in the future. That book that I mentioned that I ordered this morning, some serious perspectives on the business and the marketing and the engagement and the greenwashing, the sociability, the politicization of motorsport are covered in this book. It wasn't cheap to buy it. I'm excited to learn what they had to say in it and bring it to all of you. Expect the intellectual to be a part of this besides the motherfucker stuff, because it's going to be both. It's going to be both.
And as far as media goes, expect us to give shout outs and things like that. And,
expect to be surprised. I guess in the end, expect to be surprised. When you think we can't do something, be ready for us to do something.
Yeah. Like the most amazing thing that we will probably do within the first year of this show is get Adam Wilson's face on camera.
Oh, I already did that.
How amazing will that be to actually meet him?
I
don't know.
I got him to do it at Florida, Indiana, but I had to agree to throw my phone into the racetrack to do it.
Right, exactly.
I called
We're
him.
gonna actually get him to come on, and if we're lucky, he'll bring Tiff on as well.
Well, she's
can
better
get
to
a
look at
husband
than
wife
him anyway, so that's fine.
What he said.
Exactly that.
But I called him the other day and he didn't answer. Yeah. Yes, I did call you, Adam.
Dude, if we were
I was like 20 minutes from your house.
If we weren't 2 hours into this show already, you would be getting a phone call right now.
And quite honestly, if you said that you were willing to do it, we would probably call you anyway.
Yeah. I was 20 minutes from your house, man. So yes, I did call. And I left you a voicemail.
Oh, so he's already where I'm going. He's already where I'm going. So like we could do like video shit with him.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to Coonley. I will be there. I'll be there late Friday night. I won't make it for practice, but I will be there for Saturday and Sunday for all the racing.
I want to go.
60
and
plus
see,
trucks
the best part is
all the way to Texas are showing up.
And the best part is, if I were to be able to go this weekend, and I can't, I would bring Iowa weather with me. It is straight up legit horsepower weather. It'll be 60 degrees in Iowa on Saturday.
It's raining in Michigan, man. I drove through. I drove from Charles home today.
It's been raining here nonstop since it's like 5 fucking hours at this point. It's been raining.
It's like grunge bands are like starting in Detroit now just because of all the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody thinks flannel started in the Southwest. Bullshit.
No, it started in Seattle where it rains every freaking day.
No, it started here where it rains every fucking day.
Yeah.
Well, that too. Yeah.
You're between two lakes. Like, what do you expect? I'm just saying.
2? You better count.
Well, I'm just saying east and west.
Homie.
Normally come from the east and the west.
We're surrounded by 4 of the 5.
Yeah, so you're wrong. You're wrong too, but I'm just saying from the east and the west, like it's 2 lakes, lake effects type of thing.
Well, he gets a little whiskey in him. He just gets to be all full of knowledge, doesn't he?
I'm on camera, like I couldn't before. I'm just saying I would have
Ain't care. 5 Great Lakes. I grew up in Michigan. He lives in Michigan still, and he grew up there.
Oh, you're
not 2.
Style. Very nice.
That's right.
Good old
so anyway, for those of you who are going to Coonley this weekend, I'm jealous. Sort of.
Michigan's a beautiful state. I think you'll like it a lot.
I want to know how long you've been waiting to play that one because it's kind of been on the board forever, and you're just like, somebody's got to make a Michigan comment. I just have to play this.
Can we please agree that that'll never get played again just because Tom Cruise kind of sounds like a serial killer in that? Just
Maybe.
saying. Okay.
He can't
Good,
promise
thanks.
that. I can promise you that he cannot promise that.
Right. That. So anyway, yeah.
Have fun at Coonley.
I would come. I would go out. I would drive out there. Except that I'm actually going to become and I'm not throwing my shingle out there to do this for very many people ever. I was asked to shoot a wedding this weekend.
Ooh.
I don't know if I told either one of you guys that, but
No.
yeah, I'm shooting I can now add wedding photographer to my resume, and I'm
It's a trick.
I'm not. I will not shoot your wedding. Just on principle, I will not shoot your wedding.
I did my brother's because it's my brother, and there's no one on the planet I will do that for besides my brother.
Mhm.
Period. Not
Nope.
gonna happen.
I've done wedding videos and wedding pictures. Nope. Never again.
Yeah. Just for the record, I'm not agreeing to shoot anybody's wedding anymore. Now that said, the person who asked is a great guy. I love him dearly. He's my CFO at work, and I did not say yes because he was technically the guy who signs literally my paycheck. But yeah, it's not going to be a thing for me. But I guess I'm going to dabble as a wedding photographer this weekend. Yeah, pray for me. Thanks. But otherwise, I would probably consider driving out to Ohio to watch trucks run up a hill.
We'd rather you did.
Yeah, I know.
I told Charles, like, I mean, I would really consider like jumping in the vehicle with you if I had not been on the road for 2 weeks. So, and I am gonna go shoot some ag stuff this weekend with a drone and a video camera.
Money.
Yeah, that too. But
well, the fact is, the reason that you said no to, or I mean, that you didn't impose your will on Charles and like move into the house for a couple of days so you could go down there was because you were too cheap to go and buy another 6-pack of like Fruit of the Looms.
Well, he did buy me dinner, so I mean, there's that.
I bought him dinner.
Well, that's fine. You could have bought yourself underpants.
Well, that too. But I'm just saying, like, Charles drives a small car, and you know how I pack I've got 2 drones, a camera bag, and a suitcase.
All of the damn things.
You don't want to be unprepared. You don't want to be
If I know that I'm going to be, like, let's put it this way.
I would have put my GTI in the bump stops with all he was smuggling back to Iowa.
This is true.
Lord have mercy.
I hope you realize when I got home, I carried in my camera bag that has my laptop in it. I sat down and I still have to unpack the vehicle. And there'll be 4 trips of bourbon into the house.
It'll be 13 trips in total. That's how heavy he packs. Like, I have learned that whenever I go anywhere with Cody, and he and I do shoot a handful of shows where we actually carpool. Those are the weekends where I beg my wife, can I steal the Audi? Because it has more trunk space for his things.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, GTI life, I really do miss a trunk.
Yeah.
Straight cold miss it.
I'm just saying, like, when you've been stranded places for a week, you really miss fresh clothes. So I do pack heavy. And then it's always, when I've got a couple drones, couple laptops, couple, camera and suitcase and the necessities of bourbon, like that's a thing. So
he takes his job so seriously at this point. He carries his own personal backup drone to make sure the job gets done.
Yeah,
and then doesn't back charge the company for this. This is a man who is dedicated.
And he carries his own personal stash of bourbon.
It got expensive.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I gotta be honest. Listening to that last night, what you do, like, that shit is like straight up in my nerd channel. Like, I loved it. It was cool. I enjoyed it. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
It's not very often I get to Michigan and you get to see some of that stuff. I mean, that's it's different. Being able to see it you talk about it, but to be able to see it firsthand of like people don't understand what happens and what you can see and what you can do, and then you see a final map of what happens and be able to understand it. It's completely different. And like it's just scratching the surface of there's a reason that here at the end of the month I'm going to thermology school to be able to be a certified thermologist to understand and be able to read those maps better. But
yeah, it was cool, and to do it in a place where where we were geographically, to be within FAA controlled airspace and the extra layer for that, it was cool. I appreciated it. It definitely struck a chord with me. You got a cool job, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Good. I mean, it would have been a lot more fun if I was like 2 weeks later and not having to drive through the night through Michigan to be able to see some like color changing, because like it's all black at night and you don't see much when
where we were, you wouldn't have seen any of that shit. You'd have had to go way north.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like
you'd have to go back up towards my area.
2 weeks later, though, like it would have been a completely different story. But I mean, it was. Let's see. I finished it at the hotel at 2:30 this morning.
Neighborhood we were in, the only thing that would have changed is the hoodie's got a blacker. That's it.
Yeah. But the second one, like I said, that so that's the fun fact is it's controlled airspace. It was the first time I ever ran into controlled airspace only during daylight. After hours, it's not controlled. So you got to put through a Lance authorization to fly, and they're like, nope, you don't need it because it's not a controlled airspace at night. And like I mean, when you're going through testing, that's one of the things. Like, hey, what are the hours of the controlled tower? And I've never ran into that until the second flight last night.
Do you able to show any of that shit on the show, or is that too big of ask for tonight?
I don't have any of that in this computer.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
I'll get some screen grabs sometime. We'll go through that.
Yeah, it's cool. Well,
yep.
To me, it's cool. But I'm a nerd, so.
Yeah, but I mean that's there's a lot of people just think drones are just used to spy and whatever else, but.
Oh yeah, we had a couple that approached us to see, as we were bringing it back in. Oh, you got a drone up? Yeah. Oh, he flipped you off. Yeah, okay. Well, we weren't looking at you anyway, so whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, that was a legit thing. And I mean, when we started like doing this, so we're doing thermal roof inspections, and there was a guy that was contracted to do this by hand. So he would legit get up on the roof with a hand thermal inspection and go through this, and we're doing it with a drone. I mean, that was the old school way. I mean, utility companies have done this for years. They've got a handheld and they're driving along the power lines, and that's all they're doing. And now you can do it with a drone. I mean, there's so much stuff that like drones are used for. It's not just TikTok reel or TikToks and Facebooks and stuff like that. Like it's a legit tool that you can utilize in more than just for social media. And that's the thing is, I mean, there's spray drones that people question about, but the flip side of that is like understanding the rules and regulations of you can't just go buy a drone and go fly it wherever you want. You can't go fly over an event. This is a big thing that we talk about, like at events. Yeah. You can't fly a drone over 400 feet without approval. You can't, I mean, there's rules about flights over people, and I see this all the time. And it's just like, well, that picture has this many FAA violations. There's so many different things about a drone that like people don't understand of what you can and can't do. That thing has a tail number, just like an airplane. I mean, Charles saw it. I registered it with the FAA for my flights up there. It is a legit, aircraft. And, I had an old neighbor that says, well, if I see that thing over my house, I'm going to shoot it. Granted, he was probably a 12 pack in at this time at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because he's retired
and a boomer.
And a boomer. And I said, I looked him straight in the eyes. I said, I hope you like prison. And he goes, what? I said, it is a felony. It is a felony to shoot down an aircraft, whether it's my drone or the neighbor's plane. It's a felony. And he's like, well, I said, you ever seen one? He said, no. So I went and got it out of the vehicle and showed it to him. And I shit you not, by the time his wife got home, he says, Ruth, you're buying me a drone for Christmas. And it's just a simple, I mean, Brian talked about it. It's education. It is education going through that stuff of, it's not that hard. I mean, you know, to get your Part 107 remote pilot certificate from the FAA, it's a 60-question test. They're all multiple choice, but you have to be able to read airspace charts and weather statements and know what's going on. And that's it's such a useful tool. It's not just a toy, and that's what a lot of people think.
It was kind of funny, like, you know, you and I had never discussed any of this before, and had, you know, but I knew what you were going to do, and at one point, you know, when we were in a certain airspace, you know, you're pulling the phone out and tracking airplanes, and I throw my phone and I'm going, I pull up my flight tracker. I'm going, yeah, that dude's at 9,500 feet inbound, whatever, to Metro, and you just kind of, at one point you kind of looked at me like, you get that on your phone too? I'm like, yeah, I do. I'm in there. So like, I get it. It's there's a certain thing that's just, you know, it's just a nerd thing.
The funny part is, so like once you get in aviation, you like see a lot of this stuff.
Super nerds.
Yeah.
Just had to say it for the record.
It's fine.
Once you get into all this stuff, like you realize like all the stuff you can track. Like my boss, she tracks sharks. And I didn't know this was a thing. You can, like, they have tags on sharks that you can track and see, like, when the last time they surfaced, how old they are, like, all this stuff. And I was like, again, super nerd. Like, and she's like, oh no. Because, like, when we went to Florida to fly for the hurricane, I'm sitting there, like, and she's like, if it's flooded, we're not going there. I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, those sharks have to go somewhere. I was like, what? And she pulls it up. She's like, oh, well, this shark in this name.
This one's at the Holiday Inn, and this one's at the Ramada.
Yeah. She was looking at them, and she was like making sure they weren't in the area. She's like, oh no, they got out of the way. I was like, they're not stupid. They know, like, when a hurricane's coming. I was like, anything that washes up on shore is just stupid, and they probably deserved it. But yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of that stuff that you can look up, and there's a lot of free resources to see that stuff, and that's, you know, that's the big thing. Like, you go to drag racing, you go to track flying, any of that sorts, and you see drones flying over, most of the time that's a problem. And it's a problem from an event standpoint of their insurance has to cover that if that thing crashes, you know, and it's a huge liability. I mean, Charles, you work in insurance, you get that. It's a huge liability. Unless you are certified by the FAA, you know the rules and regulations, what you can and can't do, that's a problem. I mean, even beyond that, at certain events, like I'd say in drag racing world, like they don't want you flying over the track because they don't want you to be a distraction to the racer. They're concentrating on a tree and trying to react to stuff. You know, it's a competition disadvantage as well. Yep. And that's part of it. I mean, it's a safety aspect. It's from all aspects, from a spectator to the driver of everything. And it's a big deal. So if you guys are watching, you have a drone, don't fly it at any type of an event unless you have approval and you are certified, you know, to do that, because that's, I mean, the FAA is not like a local state government, it's federal. So
yeah, it's a big deal. And like, you know, like the biggest event that we do, Ultimate Call Challenge and Outlaw Diesel Revenge, we're within the same sort of flight parameters that you and I were last night, because we're that close to Indianapolis's metro airport. So you've got the same problem.
Yep.
All I want to know is, can you fly it over the sharks?
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're not in like Riceville, Florida, where the Blue Angels train.
And as long as they're not in the Ramada with all the other hotel guests.
Yeah.
There's another website with maps for that too, to tell you where you can't do it.
Yes. Right. But if you fly indoors, the FAA has no jurisdiction in there because it's indoors. So
great. Now we're going to have like 14 people. How many are 9 people flying drones into the walls just because they can. I might be one of them.
I don't know. Let me tell you, I've worked with a lot of law enforcement flying drones indoors. It is very entertaining.
Well, didn't you say that after that we had departed last night that well, I maybe shouldn't tell the story. Never mind. Forget it.
If it's
What
the
had
story that I
happened?
think it is, it's kind of entertaining,
Yeah,
but
just
probably not
we'll
for
just let that
public
go.
consumption.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing is like, even if, I mean, you can fly indoors because the FAA has no jurisdiction, but make sure you get the right aircraft.
And make sure you put your propeller guards on. Otherwise, you're going to be fixing drywall.
Or the drone, because that drone will suck into the drywall like a vacuum cleaner. It'll suck right into it, and then it flips over and
I
breaks.
guarantee you, the guys that
on
are fixing the drywall are all union, and they want you to shoot the living shit out of it because they're paid by the hour.
Yeah.
Or your wife makes you finish it and fix it because you screwed it up. You're going to fix it.
In my house.
Yeah.
And I don't have a wife anyway.
Well, Cody knows my wife, and he knows that conversation would happen.
Mm-hmm. But then again, when I'm house sitting with you and I have to update firmware on the drone and the cats are like looking at that, I'm like, this would be real entertaining to fly in your house without prop cards.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I updated the firmware in my drone on my drone about a month ago.
Yeah.
And oh man, those cats were, and it took everything I had not to just take it off and bring it up 3 feet above the coffee table and scare the bejesus out of them.
When you fly at a farm and like all the farm cats come out and like, what is this flashing beeping thing at you? And then like you take off and they're like looking at it. It's like, we're gonna buzz the tower. Let's go. It's like a cat needs a haircut.
No, it's not.
But I will say, like, I mean, that's the thing is like, if you're this is the other thing is if you're getting monetization or you're doing it for an event for any type of promotion, you need to have your Part 107 certificate from the FAA because those fines are not cheap. Prime example, there's a guy that did reviews on drones in Pennsylvania. He took a drone off of a parking garage, flew it out and about, came back, whatever. And the FAA came in and said, hey, you don't have a Part 107. You don't have this. You don't have this. And we need you to make corrective actions to take the video down. He chose to ignore it. He got slapped with $182,000 or $87,000. So that's the thing. Like, you don't have to get direct compensation for doing that. But if you monetize or promotion of a business and stuff like that, get your Part 107. That's all I can say.
All right. I've got to stick a fork on this one because I've got to suck all this out and repost it to YouTube and do the audio shit. We're going to kill this thing.
That works.
Word. Hey, why? By the way, before we go, none of us, not one single one of us, asked Brian Lohnes if he wanted to go out for fajitas.
Yeah, we failed.
With Lyle Barnett.
Yeah.
Sorry, inside joke. If you don't understand that, and lots of you may not, go watch the Shake and Bake show. Just pick a random episode.
Yeah.
I pick on Lyle Barnett. And we love Lyle Barnett. He runs a Mustang called the Beer Money Mustang, and also has driven just about everything except Top Alcohol and Top Fuel. So, and he's cool, and he has no eyebrows. And there's a cool story behind how he got them.
There's a really legit story behind that part too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, stick a fork in it. We're done.
All right, let's go.
See you next time.
Guys.